Hello everyone, this is Rohit. I'm going to talk about Flutter with Firebase today. We'll see that how Flutter can be integrated with Firebase and what is the magic around it, how it can basically power our future apps, and how simple it is to implement, and anybody can get started with it. Even the mobile developers who doesn't know anything about backend technologies can get started with Firebase and build the entire app on its own. There is no requirement of backend people. So on the Flutter side, we are going to cover, we are going to build a list view with a simple builder function. There we'll cover that how basically the UIs are designed in the Flutter. And then we'll see that how Flutter apps can be integrated with Firebase with the two particular types, like a stream and data snapshots from the Firebase directly. And then we'll just separate the data layer and the presentation layer with the help of block. Block stands for business logic component. So it will help you understand that where the data flows and how it is actually consumed in the app. Okay, and then the magical thing we'll see that how quickly, if you change something on the Firebase side, how quickly it reflects in the Flutter side. Okay, so on the Firebase side, we are going to cover is the authentication setup, how to authenticate apps on the Firebase, and then we'll see that how cloud Firestore can be set up, like for storing the data and then creating and updating data in the Firebase Firestore. Okay, so let's start. And the final product will look like something like this. Like on the left hand side, you can see all the data that is stored in the Firebase Firestore, and on the right hand side you have the final app. How is it going to look like when we are done with all the processes? Okay, so let's just get started. So this is my code. I hope all of you can see it properly. I have increased the font size already. So I have this set up already. So I'll try to minimize the live coding so that we are on time. So it will be a 3-step process. First, we are going to build the list, as I said. Then we are going to see that how Firebase streams can be directly connected to the Flutter app. The third, we are going to see the block pattern. Okay, there are multiple state management techniques in Flutter already. We have covered MobX in the previous session, and now we are covering block, and maybe in the coming sessions we'll cover more and more about the state management. So this is my main .dart file. It is very simple, nothing fancy about it. It just has the home like country page, and the my app is getting called from the main. So let's go into the country page. What it does, it has a simple data available, static data available, which is being displayed here right now. The image is being supplied, which is at the top. I have I have already built the widgets. If you can see here, like the widgets are already available. So I have customized a little bit because Flutter gives you a lot of customization techniques. So you can customize as you want, and it will show it. Like the parallax effect is also, very simple to achieve here. And then the list item that you are seeing basically here is designed here. So this is all just UI code, no logic at all, just the UI code. So it's not that important to here discuss. So I'm just skipping this part. What I did basically that I'm passing this country model to this particular list view, and it is just rendering. If you can see here, like country.name, that's all about it. And if you want to see the model, so this is the model class. So it is basically taking a JSON object and it is passing it. Okay, that's all about it. Also, if you want to pass the JSON object, there is an extension available plugin available in which you can just provide the JSON file and it will convert the model for you. So it is very simple. Okay, so let's go back to the country page and see if we change anything here. Does it change it or not? Like suppose GDP goes to 60. Yeah, so it is reflecting here, right? So if we change anything here, it is just going to reflect here. So that is very simple. The hot reload feature is working for us. Very good. So this is the basic setup we have for our app. And now I'm going to check out my another branch, which will show that how our Firebase is integrated to Flutter app. Okay, so we have the main file again, and if you can see, there are few things. There are few things which will be changed. So let's go to the country page again. It will have now more code because we are now actually trying to authenticate from the Firebase. And another thing we'll do is to fetch the data from the Firebase. Okay, so if you'll do the hot restart now, or hot reload, is going to fetch data from the Firebase. We'll see that in a bit, but let's just go through the file setup once so that you guys understand what's going around. Okay, so here we have main file that is there, main.dart. Then we have module, which is the country module that we are building. We have the country.dart, which you have already seen. There is no change in it. Then we have country page. There is no change in it. Yes, there is a change, but the logic is being changed, like the data is being fetched from the Firebase now, and the country widget, that is the same. Okay, so now we are going to see that how can we set up our Firebase project and how can we actually fetch data from the Firebase. So let's switch to the Firebase side, how we can actually do that. Before we do that, let's see the Firebase auth service and Firebase Cloud Store as well. So there you can see I have this particular setup which is trying to authenticate user from the Firebase, because we don't want our data to be public. Hence, what I'm doing is trying the sign in anonymously, so that our database is protected and only the users who are signed in can use our database particularly. Okay, so let's switch to the Firebase side now. So I'm going to create a project live, country 2, suppose, whatever you want to name the project. I'm just naming it country 2 because I have one country project already set up. Then we get to continue, select an account. So while it's creating this project, we can discuss this Firebase Cloud service as well. So here you can see that I have a collection named country. If you remember from the last final snapshot, we had a collection named country, and what we are trying to achieve here is that we are fetching these snapshots, which is actually providing the stream. If you just see it, so you can see that stream query. So it is actually providing the stream. So what stream is, if you want to go into deep that what stream is, so stream is basically a connection between the Firebase service and the underlying app. So whatever is being changed in the backend side, it is going to be received or consumed by the stream directly. I hope the project is set up now. Yeah, so let's continue. So we have this project country 2 now. So two things what we need to do is to add an iOS app and add an Android app to this particular project that we have built. So now it is asking iOS bundle ID. Most of you who have used Firebase will be familiar with this, but I'm sure that most of you won't. So let's try that, get the bundle ID. So two ways you can get the bundle IDs. One is when you are creating a project, there you will get the bundle. There you will get the chance to set up the package name or the bundle ID. And if you have set it up already and you don't remember it, so iOS developer will know that the bundle ID, where we can find it. So it should be in the, let's go here, reveal, and I think I can get it, info.plist. So it's hidden basically. So let's go to the Android project. So there you can find the package name, and it's similar to the, yeah. So there you can find this bundle ID or package name for Android and iOS app. Let's put it there. I'm going to name the same country iOS. App Store ID we don't have. So let's register this app. So from here, you will get this info.plist, which is required to actually set up your Flutter project, iOS project, or Android project, whatever you want to say. Then you need to download this config file. I'm just going to download it. It's set up already. And let's go to the Android app setup now. Paste the same here, country, Android. This debug signing certificate, if you can generate it, just paste it here. Right now, I don't require it. So register app. So these two files are needed to actually get the Firebase going with the Flutter app. And we are going to paste this file in the separate, respectively in the iOS project and the Android project. Okay. So we should have two files now in the downloads. I forgot to download this one. Yeah. Make sure that this #2 and #2 is -2 is not coming. Maybe I should have these projects, these files already. That's why it is named as -2, but it should not be there. Okay, it should be named as Google Services.json and Google Services info.plist. Okay, so let's go into our project now. So I have these files set up already. So you can see Google Services.json. I have it because I created the project already. And in the runner, I have this Google Services info.plist. If you're creating a new project, make sure to put these files into these folders. Okay. So let's close this files now. And talk about this. So authenticate user. In order to authenticate user anonymously, you need to do some settings as well. So let's go to the authentication part. There you will see there are a lot of sign-in methods are available. You can use any of them and it works very, very well with Firebase project, right? So here you can see that anonymous login is available. So I'm just going to enable it so that our projects are authenticated when we try to use our database. So let's try to create a database now. Create a database, next. This is not important, but for now, this is not important, but it is telling that where the actual data is going to be saved, like in the US, where. So it's taking a little bit longer. So you can see setting up security rules. So this is very important. There actually we are going to decide that who is going to read our database or write into our database. So these rules are very important and we can change it. Right now it is disallowed for anything like if false. That means it is going to return false regardless of anything. So we're going to say request.auth not is equal to null. So that means user is authenticated, only then read and write is possible. Publish it. Now we are going to create a collection. So go to the data part, start a collection, and suppose name as country. Okay. Generate an auto ID, name like name, India, and then head, Narendra Modi, suppose, and GDP like 3 trillion, and population is going to be 1.3b. There are a lot of data types available. I'm just using a string. So, I mean, when you are creating this database, make sure to use the correct database type, data type, I mean. Okay, I'm just using strings here. So let's create this. So there you can see. So we have this dummy project set up already. So I'm going to switch to the project that I am using actually. This was just to explain that how can we create a Firebase project and how to use it in the Flutter app. So I have this set up already, right? So you understand these things like why is it required and how we are doing it, right? And if you see the service file here once again, so here we are trying to fetch this Firebase collection country snapshots. Now go to this file. This is very important now. So I am building this particular future builder, and what is basically telling that if Firebase user, authenticate user is actually authenticated, then go to the stream. If not, then if does not it does not have a data, then show this linear indicator. I built this linear indicator here, which is linear progress indicator, nothing else. Okay. So this is how it has been done. Once the user is authenticated, we'll go here to this function basically. So what this particular method is trying is that it is trying to get the get country snapshots directly, and what it is returning a stream, right? It is returning a stream which is being passed in this particular stream builder, right? And once the data is available, it is going to render this list, and if the data is not available, then it is going to show the linear progress indicator. Since it is very fast, in fact, while fetching the data and being authenticating, you won't even observe the linear indicator. So I'm just going to stop the project so that we can show this linear indicator thing. Hopefully we're able to present the linear indicator for a moment. If we start the project from the base, it's very fast, in fact, fetches the data in a split of a second. Yeah, there you go. So in a split of a second, there were two things being done. One is the authentication being done, and the second thing, the list was being fetched in the split of a second. So you can assume that how fast it is. And if I go to hot restart, actually it doesn't even display here. It just did. So it's very fast, in fact. So you can use this uh, stream to make your app very responsive, in fact. And now the magical thing, we are going to see that how changes are reflected here. When we change something here, how is it reflected here, right? So let's go to, yeah, India. So suppose our GDP has increased. Make sure you are paying attention to India. See here, it is 5T. So I'm going to make it 60. Yeah, there you go. Population has been increased like 1.4 B. Update. And even if you delete a data or add a data, suppose I'm going to delete this India uh, entry. So just going to update. Superb. And if you want to add it back again, let's just add it. Head is order does not matter because it's a key value pair. And name India. Then we have population is 1.4 billion. And then we have GDP like 5 trillion. Okay, should come up here. Yeah, there you see. So all the magic is happening behind the scenes with the streams. But there is a problem, and the problem is that while it is being fetched correctly, the problem is that the Firebase is tightly integrated with your UI code, and I mean, from your experience and my experience, we know that data layer and the presentation layer has to be separate for a scalable apps. So even though it is performing very good, but we cannot do this for a scalable app. Otherwise, we'll face problem when we try to, when we try to fetch data from multiple stores, or having or have to integrate REST APIs or GraphQL, anything like that. So it's not good to actually tightly integrate a Firebase service to this particular Flutter app, right? So yes, we have a solution for it. You can still leverage Firebase fast service and have the data layer and the presentation layer at separate places. So for that, let's switch to data sync with block. Let's resolve the dependencies error. I hope it goes. Yeah, it goes away. Okay. So we are back to the main file again, and there are a few changes in the main file. But before the main file, we want to discuss this particular things like country block and auth block. As I said, that block stands for business logic component, right? So what is this business logic component? It's very simple as it sounds. Like whatever your business logic is, whatever the important processes are, you're going to write your logic, your app logic into this file, and not directly integrating into your presentation layer or the UI code, right? So let's go here. So what it is doing now, let's also open this auth block. So we still have the same Firebase auth service, but the thing is that we have now a different abstraction layer. So Firebase is being authenticated, like Authenticate User. I have a different function name. No, it's the same function name. Okay. So now it is returning as a future, and once it is signed in, I'm going to add this particular it's signed in to the sync and is user. So how block works? So this is very important question. You need to understand that how block works. So block has two important segments of it. One is the sync and another one is stream. So sync is something you are inserting something to the sync and it is being received at the other end, which is the stream. So this is the two important thing. So you return the stream here, which is basically that we are using in the page, if you remember, when we are showing the Firebase thing. So this is the same stream here as well. You can see stream controller and it is returning a stream. So it is returning a stream, and the type is basically a generic type. Whatever the type you will provide, it is going to reflect the same way. So now it is basically disassociated from Firebase. So whatever the authentication process you want to use here, you will use here. There will be no change in the presentation layer. All you have to do is the same thing like sync add, nothing else, right? And then at the end of the life cycle of it, you need to close it. That means dispose it, so that the memories are free for other purposes. So this is the auth block, and the country block is also pretty much same. So we have a stream controller, Firebase store service. Let's look into Firebase store service. So this particular function we were using previously, and we are using now the second one. So subscribe country update, what we are doing is to fetching the snapshots like we were doing here, but rather than just giving the Firebase stream, now we are doing is to particularly attach a listener, and whenever this listener is receiving the data, we are calling a callback. Okay, and once the callback is received, we are actually mapping these data to the country model that we were doing earlier as well, and adding to the sync. So now let's go to the country page again and understand the logic. Okay, so we forgot one thing. We need to come back to the main file actually. So here I am using a multi-provider library. You don't have to use it actually. I mean, it's not mandatory to use. You can define your own block provider, and you can use the block pattern. It is not necessary to actually use this third-party library. If you go to the PubSec YAMLs to see the dependencies, so you'll see that I have this provider. Okay, so you don't have to use it. I mean, it's fine if you don't want to use it, but it's good to actually use it because it's a very good library and provides a lot of providers, including other state management libraries as well. And it has its own state management, I think, as well. But for now, I'm using it as a provider to actually provide my block logic. Okay. So there you can see that we have passed in the main method, and here we are receiving it as auth block subscribe to stream. Okay. So it's the same thing that we are doing, what we were doing previously, but here we can see that now our data layer and the presentation layer are different. It's not the same anymore. We can go to the auth block and try to change whatever we want from wherever we want to authenticate, like REST API and everything, but it's not going to change in the presentation layer. It's the same logic, like snapshot has data, and snapshot data is the Boolean type. So if it is authenticated, we'll go to the build Firebase collection stream, and we have here country block by the provider. We'll have the data. If we have the data, then we're going to build country list, and in the country list we are returning the length of the list, and then we are providing by index. So if you want to open the country detail page, if you have the country detail page, you can open it here. So this is basically how it goes with the block pattern. As I said, that multiple state management libraries or tools are available. Libraries are available, so you can use any of them and separate your data layer and presentation layer.